So, what even is trauma, right? Because there's a lot of talk now about trauma, and I might just be realizing that because I'm in the healing space now. Maybe there's always been loads of talk about trauma. However, I feel like it's something that is so conscious for us right now that there's a lot of trauma playing out on the planet and individually in people's bodies as well. However, when it comes to trauma, we can all have this image of what we believe trauma to be, right? Because if we go back to being children, we have been being programmed to believe certain things, to feel certain ways about ourselves, to keep us actually trapped in trauma. So, how do they keep us trapped in trauma? Well, if you don't even realize that you're going through trauma because you've been programmed to believe trauma is being in a war, trauma is having a family member murdered, trauma is all these like crazy, awful, brutal events. That is trauma. That's what we're programmed to believe as children. So then when we go through our normal life, we don't see it as being trauma per se. This was really my experience as well. Because I look back on that, and sometimes I still feel this a little bit, but I look back on my life and think I've always thought this. Okay, yes, I've had heartbreak and it's been really bad and painful. Yes, I have gone through difficult experiences that's been hard and painful, been in lots of circumstances where I felt humiliated or like just really unconfident or just loads of different stuff, right? I know we've all been there because we are in this reality, but I'd look back at that and I'd be like, it made me stronger. And that's truth. All these events do make us stronger no matter what we go through. But I would almost see that I didn't have not a right, maybe a right in a way to think that I had trauma, because when I look at other people's life, I can look at some people and say, oh my God, they've had this horrendous abuse in their life, or they've been in this horrendous situation. That's trauma. So you can almost feel like, oh, my trauma is just not big enough, right? Maybe that's the best way to put it. So I don't have any healing to do, so we can think that we don't have trauma because of that. Whereas the truth is that just being in this reality is traumatic for us, and that's one of the reasons why they've shown us this really extreme trauma. Don't get me wrong, some trauma is more extreme, right? So they've I don't want to so they've created this extreme trauma that's been bombarded on us as children. So we believe that is trauma. So when we're going through our trauma, which this world is all created to put us into trauma and keep us in trauma by not even realizing we're in it, because you can't get out of something that you don't know that you are in, right? That is the mind prison of the false matrix. So we program as children to see that as trauma. So then we've been living in trauma and we haven't even realized it. So what is trauma? Well, this is definitely not going to be a textbook version because I don't know what the textbooks say about what trauma is, but what I experience, how I feel what trauma is, I mean, I see it as these energetic packages of information and feeling, and it's how we've kind of gone through an event and not had the bigger picture, not had the higher perspective, not being connected into the higher mind, because we've been purposely cut off from that during the first half of our lives, right? And probably now, if you've not done your healing necessarily, you're still cut off from that. Maybe don't have the flow all the way in your body, because as with this message that I'm making actually about trauma, is a lot of people don't even acknowledge that they've been through trauma because they have a picture of what trauma is and they think, well, I haven't been through that, so I haven't been through trauma. But that's not true. We've all been in trauma in this reality. And also, we actually carry trauma from our ancestral lines and the lineage. So whilst we can have individual trauma, we have collective family trauma, collective trauma, country trauma. We've got all this collective trauma that we carry because we're all connected through these filaments of light and connected into source. So even though we think something's happening over there and it's separate, it doesn't impact it, it sends shock waves through the cosmic web, and it creates changes in our timeline. So it changes the energies. It's like these energies, and it changes our direction a little bit. Like these shock waves are going to create changes to the future. So that's actually why, as well, when we realise that we've got healing to do, that we've all got healing to do, we actually upgrade those timelines. We actually start to bring in a timeline that is, well, heaven on earth. That is a timeline, that is a mission that I am on, to anchor heaven back in to earth. And I know there's many people out there on that mission as well, whether they realise it consciously or not. This is something that I've been working up to for a little while. So, and I know that other people are awake to it. So, that's what it got me thinking about. I help people with trauma, but I realise a lot of people they just don't even realise that they've got it, because of the conditioning that's shown as this is trauma. So through the ancestral realm as well. So if you think about it, this is a way, again, this is not textbooks. So I don't know what the textbooks say, but this is what comes through to me from the work that I do with my clients, from my own connection in to the higher mind. Obviously I've got to interpret things, and I'm learning and I'm growing, so take what feels right for you as well. But basically the way that I connect to it is that when it comes to ancestral and lineage trauma, I almost see it as like a baton relay race in two different ways. Like one way, when you're coming in as the new body, and you're coming in as a soul into this body, into this reality, to make a difference in this reality. Even though we've been cut off and pretended that that's, we don't matter, we're not important, we do matter, and we are important, and we've all got something that we came here to do, little or small, that doesn't matter, that's not relevant. We just all got something that we came here to do. So okay, so we've got you coming in, and you're coming in. So the baby, the body, the fetus, as it starts to grow, then that is brand new, right? It's new geometries, it's new cells dividing, creating this body ready for the soul to come in. So the body's got this new chance to be rebirthed, to be, it's purified. It's like, but then again, on the other foot, you've also got the blood that starts, the blood, and the blood is shared throughout the ancestral line, right? So the blood carries memory, carries information, and it's carrying the information from the genetic line, from the ancestral line, the lineage line. I just sort of see ancestral lineage as the same thing, but it's all coming from there. So it's in the body. So the question is, does it then I was thinking it gets activated through triggers. So you're carrying those ancestral traumas, but also, even though you look at your individual life right now and look at your trauma, you've also had past lives and lives before, which is in the bloodline as well, right? So that's also, so you're going to pick that back up to resolve if it didn't get resolved, right? Because it's still, and all by resolving means we have to go into our inner worlds, do the healing to bring that lost fragment, that imprint that's just stuck there, that trauma that is frozen in time. We go back in time to pick up that frozen trauma, right? And we give it an upgrade. We change it. We change the geometry of it. That is for us to do. We can do that because actually we start to look at it with the eyes of truth, and we start to understand the bigger picture about source, about why we're here. Then we can start to rearrange those geometries, right? So we're picking it up like the baton, right? We're coming in and we're picking up what's in the bloodline. So it might not necessarily be us as a soul, I guess, right? The ancestral line. We aren't going to be the only souls in our ancestral line. We're going to be in that line with other souls. So I see it as like, we're coming with that baton, we're picking it up, and we're picking it up, and it's like, we got this for the team, guys, right? I see it like that. I see it like, I'm going to come in, and at this time, I'm going to clear out what you couldn't clear out, because someone was in before you, and they were clearing out, they were doing what they could do as well. And remember that we've all had different external frequency fences around us that's been affecting how much trauma we could clear out. of that system. So even if we can't remember in this individual life loads of trauma, we've got what's coming in from the line, we've got what's coming in from our past lives which we couldn't resolve, not because we were bad or wrong. And that's what I mean, when we start to do our healing and we go back and we start to understand truth, we realize this, so we can dissolve these lies, these corruptions that get stuck inside of the body, which are trauma. So we all have trauma. I just realised how that doesn't seem like a very happy thought. Like, oh, we all have trauma. Brilliant. Glad I clarified that for you then. But honestly, not to make light of trauma, because I don't want to make light of it. But I know that some people have gone through some horrendous stuff, but also there is probably more people that have not gone through that extreme trauma in this life, but will have done in other lives, will have done through the ancestors, will be picking up that. And also look at we've got, so I said we've got individual trauma. I said we're picking up it from the lineage, so we're picking up that pattern, right? We're picking up in two ways. One, in a way of saying, right, I've got this now, guys, I've got this, I'm the warrior, I'm the spiritual warrior, I'm going to come in, I'm going to clear that out, I'm going to start restoring heaven back to earth, start bringing that timeline back in. So, but then we've got on the other foot as well that not only like, yeah, you're also like, you're picking up all of that emotional baggage as well, which is weighing you down, right? So you want to move forward, but you're being weighed down, pulled back by the trauma. But you need to pick up the trauma, because what you're trying to do is clear out the line. So it gives us a new perspective on the trauma that we go through as children as well. When we understand, when we start to zoom out to a bigger perspective. So we have this, it's good when we start learning the truth that we have trauma, and that it's actually quite a fun journey to go on to actually heal that trauma as well. It can be, like, again, I do want to say, I know there's exceptions, I know there is some people that have gone through some really bad stuff that they really shouldn't have gone through, do you know what I mean? I do know that, but healing is still available for them as well, and perhaps as well just on a deeper, more one-to-one level, so that you've got someone that's working with you one-to-one. I'll always recommend that if you've got really heavy lifting to do in it. But really the point of this video was to let everyone know that it's okay to, I guess, to let everyone know that we've all got trauma, because we're born into a world that is built to create trauma, and to create in a way that you don't even realise that you've got it. Just like, you don't realise we're slaves. You don't realise it. You don't realise you're a prison. You're in a prison of the mind where information has been kept from us. So we've all been through that. And as we start to recognise that and realise, okay, I do have some trauma, because that is traumatic. It's traumatic to come into this world and be severed from your soul, right? It's traumatic for us. It's disorientating, disembodying, but we're coming in here, like I say, if we look at the bigger picture, see the relay, we're coming in to clear out this line. There is a bigger picture to it. It's not, we don't go through trauma and then it's just because we've done something bad or wrong, which a lot of people connect to. That is not true at all. So the first step, why the first step to healing, right, is acknowledgement. This is what I worked out after many dead ends for a long time. Back in, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago, something like that, 5 years ago, maybe longer. I'm not sure. I became conscious of the fact that you've got to acknowledge it. If we don't acknowledge something, then literally there's nothing that can happen. So this is why I wanted to make this video, because I feel like there's so many people that don't believe that they've got trauma, don't believe that they've got any healing to do, and so they won't acknowledge it. And if you don't acknowledge it, and you might have a life that is okay, but that doesn't mean say you haven't got trauma, right? So, but if you don't acknowledge it, then literally you will continue to hold that trauma, and you won't do what you came here to do as well, which was to clear that trauma out, because you're keeping things in check. So it's to give you permission, like I had to give myself permission to realise that I had trauma and there was healing. Oh my God, it's brought so much joy to my life, because it's led me to uncover so much stuff about myself. It's led me to heal in such a deep way that I can start realising who the true self is. I've discovered all these gifts and talents I didn't even know that I had. Nearly the first 40 years of my life, I had no idea how creative I was, how I used creative energetic imagery and visuals, physical, non-physical, to heal, and it creates an opening, a gateway to healing. I've got all this creative energy. I'm tapping into this stream of intelligence, and don't get me wrong, this is not, I'm not saying that I know everything. I definitely don't. What it shows me is there's so much more, but it's showing me that I had all these skills and talents and I'm having to work on them and refine them and put in the action, but it's coming naturally to me. I'm being led more and more and more. And that wouldn't have happened if I didn't acknowledge that I had trauma, and I acknowledge it because I started looking back and I started seeing this programming, and I started to learn about what was going. I started to just open up all this information about what was going on in the world, that we have been in a prison planet. We have been being spiritually abused for a long time. So as soon as I gave myself permission to acknowledge that, I started going on a healing journey. And as I went on that healing journey, well, it led me to my destiny, to my destined path. So, and also bigger than me, because I feel like I was just all about me, but bigger than me, right? But it isn't, because I tell you why I tell you these stories, right? Because literally, I want, in my dreams, in my visions, we live in a world where everybody contributes through what they love, through what lights them up, through what they came here to contribute, and it's not a life of stress and like survival, just being worried about it. We are creator beings, and we start to realize that as we start to heal, and we can start to direct our energy in new ways. So as we heal, we've no longer got our energy just numbing it out of our vibration, just trying to protect us from it. So we might think, if we don't realize it's there, it's not having any impact on us, but it's draining our energy. So I want to live in a world like that. I want everyone to be, to have that, to feel safe, to feel protected, to feel fulfillment and enjoyment. We're in a freaking magical universe, and most people are cut off from that, which is it's needed to bring heaven back onto earth. We need to bring heaven back to earth. So that's ultimately my goal right now, and why I want to get that message out, that trauma is all around us, and we have had trauma. Just if we start to accept that, we can start that healing. And then you might want to heal, like you might want to, like I have a Reconnect program. Of course I want people to do this program because it is amazing. I've been cultivating this program for years, and it's just getting better and better every time that I do it. And I'm just in the middle of a group online one now, and it's 7 weeks. It's probably going to be 8 weeks actually, because I've got a bonus week to go in there. So it's 8 weeks. It's these 1.5 hour to 2 hours energy activation transmission masterclass. At first, I'm really giving you the tools to. It's really these loads of keys, activations. There's so much going on there that's gonna, for those souls that are called to it anyway. I know that this has been brought through because it's got an audience. There's people that are supposed to do this course. It's going to help you to do what I've done and transform my life completely. And is it a finished picture? Absolutely not. No, but it's a reconnection back to our divinity. It's a bringing our soul back into our body properly. It's cleaning out all that trauma that is in our body, so we can actually connect to the truth of who we are. We can bring forward our souls, light up our bodies, and start having this impact in the world that's going to literally rearrange creation in front of our very eyes. That's what we have the power to do. I mean, think about how much energy goes into keeping this world running every day. Imagine if we healed ourselves and started to put that energy through a perspective of the soul. Imagine if the soul was leading our lives, if the soul was the one that was leading lives. Think about what that would mean for everyone working in a corporation, everyone working at schools, all over the place, how these organisations are going to start to shift and change. So it is a really special program that's coming through. I do believe that it will have a massive impact on people's lives and on the planet, and that is what I'm being led to do. This is my part, this is my mission that I've uncovered. So I didn't just make this video to sell that, but obviously I'm sharing this because I want people to experience it. But even if that don't interest you, right? You can actually, I have put week 1 free as well, so you can see what I do. You can get in, you can dip your toe in and see what it's about, basically. So week 1 is free below. But you can, even if it's not right, once you've opened that up, then you're gonna be led. Just once you've opened up to the fact that I've got trauma and I'm ready, and all you have to say is I'm ready to heal that trauma. You just have to put it out, let your team know. I've got, yes, you can. Oh, finally, I've got trauma. I do have trauma, and I am ready to heal. I am open up to healing, and then you're going to get led anyway. So you might find another practitioner that you want to work with, or you might find a book that you want to read, or just there's loads of stuff on YouTube as well. Look at my past videos as well. There's plenty of people giving advice, but you might want to go deeper. But you'll get led to where you want to go with that. So, okay, thank you. Bye.